Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, intuitive coach and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Well, welcome, Jacquelynne, to the Awakened Goddess Show. But you know what? I know you as Sassy Jack, or that's my nickname for you. So that's what I'm going to call you today. So welcome, Sassy Jack.
Thank you, Miss Angela. I'm happy to be Sassy Jack today.
Yes. Well, and I think it's important that we keep it light because today we're going to be talking about self-sabotage. And that can be a really heavy topic that when we start diving into it, our ego, our negative ego can kind of get in there and maybe cause us to feel defensive or like, oh, I don't do that. So I think let's just keep it light, fun, playful, and sassy.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just dive in, get right to the meat of the matter. Why is it, or how is it that we sabotage ourselves?
The short answer to that is how do we not sabotage ourselves, right?
I know.
I mean, it's everywhere. It's a very insidious and sneaky thing. And it happens in our relationships. It happens with our work, with our businesses, friends and family. And I feel like sabotage is one of those overarching themes. Mm-hmm. And if we're not paying attention, we can kind of run on this weird self-sabotage loop and not even know what's going on and wonder why we're not getting anywhere.
Right. Well, and it's kind of like a self-perpetuating cycle that feeds. When we sabotage ourselves, when we say, just using food as an example, if we're starting a new diet and then we start, oh, I'm just going to have a little bit of this food that's not on the plan, then we eat it, and then maybe afterwards we feel guilty, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to lose the weight, and then it's like this cycle. But then, I had a little bit of ice cream. I screwed up. I might as well eat the whole carton.
Yes, absolutely. It's an interesting cycle of the sabotage and then the guilt and the, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna go wild, right? Yeah. And it's really easy for us to look at sabotage from that lens, like the super obvious, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to run because I don't like running, or, fill in the blank with your exercise of disdain. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be super obvious. Like, we can have these sabotage patterns that are running, that are so sneaky, that are actually kind of good for us, that we have, convinced ourselves that we're not sabotaging at all. And, I know for me personally, my favorite thing to do when I'm overwhelmed or have my to-do list is entirely too long, I take off and go to the gym.
Yeah.
And it's, the gym is great. It makes you feel good. You get full of endorphins, but I'm literally avoiding responsibility and just going to the gym.
So well, and that's it. And like you said, it's so sneaky because going to the gym is good for us. But even when I think it comes down to distraction. When we're distracting ourselves from something that maybe we need to be stepping into, then that's when it becomes sabotage.
Yes. And this just popped in, especially with relationships. It's easy for us to sabotage ourselves, even on this interesting level where we talk to people who we know are going to fuel our drama. Mm-hmm. So like, you're upset about something and you have two options. You can call the friend that's going to, calm you down and give you some really good advice. And then you have the other friend that's going to be like, he did what? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And choosing to engage in those behaviors is totally sabotage, even though it feels like, oh, well, I just need to vent for a little while. And it's like feeding this perpetual negative energy cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the obvious ways that we can sabotage ourselves would be binge watching TV, the food thing, maybe going to the gym or exercising a lot, doing anything to extreme. We can use sex or drugs or alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
shopping, retail therapy.
Yes.
That was one of my
And
favorites.
yes, I used to do that too. And well, because it's that immediate gratification. Like, I'm going to go and get happy somewhere else. And that's what it all comes down to. Like when we're sabotaging ourselves, we're we're usually trying to achieve happiness on
Hmm.
some level, but happiness is a very different thing than joy. Joy is a state of being. And a friend of mine said very wisely, happiness is the ghetto joy. And usually, isn't it brilliant?
Yeah.
So, and usually when you're chasing happiness, you're not exactly doing things that are helping you. It's that whole like, oh, well, it's that if when syndrome. Or when I have a house, then I'll be happy. When I get in a relationship, then I'll be happy. Like this
Hmm.
cause and effect situation.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about business and being a
Mm,
spiritual entrepreneur. I mean, actually, it can help with any person working in a business, maybe self-employed or an entrepreneur of any sort. Um, so I think that there are a bazillion ways that we can sabotage ourselves in business. Um,
mm-hmm.
it's like, there are those things that we need to do on our to-do list that we keep avoiding because maybe they make us feel uncomfortable or require us to, yeah, step outside of that comfort zone or
Mm-hmm.
stretch in some way. So what do you have to say about that?
Oh, so many things.
I know.
So, I mean, we all have the obvious, like, oh, I'm spending entirely too much time on Facebook when you're
Hmm.
trying to like market or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. We have these like time wormholes, like you get lost in them. But you can actually think that you're doing productive things and still be sabotaging yourself. Like it drives me crazy when brand new entrepreneurs that don't even have any customers or any sales yet are like driving themselves insane about graphics and logos and branding and how am I supposed to do this and is this the right font? Like who cares? Go find some customers and actually do what you're here to do and then you can hire that stuff out or worry about it later.
Yeah.
It's this prioritization, I
I was
guess.
definitely one of those.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years I did. I was so busy, but I think I was really busy doing mostly the wrong things or the things
Yeah.
that it was more the busy work, building the
Right.
website. I mean, yeah, I was obsessed over having, fixing my website. And then I'd look at other people's stuff and I'd be like, oh my God, my website looks like crap compared to theirs. Yet, they've been in business for 5 years or 10 years longer than myself. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if you're like writing copy to attract the right customers or, doing things, the meat and potatoes of a website or something. But, you know, looking at the big picture stuff and really trying to bring in customers and grow your business, so many people get stuck in that loop where
Hmm.
they're all about the stuff that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Everybody wants you. They don't care what color your website is. They don't care what font you have.
Right, and they don't care how perfect you are either. That was another
No.
thing that I got kind of wrapped up in. I was like, ooh, I need to be like the perfect therapist or the perfect coach or, fill in the blank of whatever it was that I was doing,
Right.
that time period. And it seems like that is where so many people get challenged with the whole self-sabotage thing is getting the customers, getting the clients. So let's dive into that some more.
Oh, okay.
Do you like how I just kind of like keep peeling away the onion? It's like
I know. I'm like, all right, what's next? Um, I think it really comes down to getting clear on, what is your message? What are you trying to convey? What what is it that people are going to contact you for? Um, my my first ever sales page was the most hideous thing I've ever seen. And it was like this silly little picture of me in a yoga pose because everything was about like clearing and relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's me in a yoga pose. And it was just this horrific landing page, but it had fantastic copy. And I got sales through that thing miraculously. But like nobody cares what it looks like. Fine tune your message and speak to the heart of the people that are looking for what you have to offer. And I think that's really what it comes down to. And if you don't know what your message is or what you're trying to accomplish with your clients, they're not going to come to you. The energy is not there. They have to, they need to know that you are completely committed to your purpose. And if you're not sure what your purpose is, there's this energetic disconnect with it.
That's so true. And I think that finding that and connecting with it is challenging because it's kind of this elusive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's my life purpose? You know, we think it's supposed to look or sound or be a certain way when it's much different than that. And it's much more of from an energetic place, really energetic connection.
Well, and we're so, like, from little kids, we've been bombarded with advertising. So we have all this programming that says X, Y, and Z should make you happy. And if it doesn't, then there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. So we're all running on this script, like, well, I got this. Why isn't this working? And what about this? I was going somewhere really good with this.
All the programming.
Yes, all the programming. So, well, because there's two parts of it. So you have to find out what really brings you joy. What do you really want? How do you want to show up in the world? And I think where a lot of people get stuck is that is a dynamic process. It can change. It can change every couple of weeks. It can change every couple of months. Nothing is ever going to be ready or perfect because you are a dynamic human and you're constantly like course correcting to what you really want. Mm-hmm. So just, do the best you can and get your message out and see if it resonates with people. And if it doesn't, tweak it. People spend so much time trying to make it perfect and how do I define myself and what I do? And it's like, dude, I'm a different person every day sometimes. So I just have to make sure that 80% of who I am is in my message and I just change it when necessary. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big piece that people don't realize.
Well, and what comes to mind is I had a really profound experience with a guest recently. This woman is not anywhere to be found on the internet. She doesn't have a website. She doesn't do email. But she has more than enough clientele. She works with Fortune 500 companies. She works with the police departments. And she says, what I do is I follow my excitement. Whatever calls to me, that's what I declare to the universe, my guides, the angels, whoever. And I say, this is what I want. And the phone starts ringing.
And that's really it's how simple it can be.
Yes.
It's wild.
But you know what? We are socialized to compare ourselves with other people and see where we fit in and measure up and then try to maybe be better or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I think sometimes we get caught up in maybe reading someone else's copy, reading their website, seeing what they sound like. And it's like, well, they sound better. So that's like this constant need to fix. When someone else is reading your stuff, they're probably saying the same thing to themselves.
Absolutely. It's so funny because at the underlying theme of self-sabotage is this whole unworthiness piece. We don't think we're good enough. We don't have enough, whatever. It's that whole not enoughness that makes us go, oh, never mind. Because we don't think we can really do it. And if we accepted ourselves for who we are in the moment and be as authentic and true to our hearts and our energy as we can be, then everything else will just flow in. But there's this I'm not good enough piece, again, with the advertising and programming. Totally locked that in for us. But it's all about acceptance. and self-worth. Like, what I have to say is good enough, and it is useful, and it is helpful.
Yeah, so it's really an inside job. All of this stuff, this marketing piece that we're talking about and how we express ourselves to the world, it's really about all the work that you do inside.
All of it. Everything. And so this concept's coming up over and over for me this week. Excuse me. The universe is a giant reflection. And, Susan Ferraro goes into this in her course a lot. But it's a giant reflection. So whatever you're seeing, whatever triggers you, whatever gets under your skin is a reflection of something that you truly believe about yourself on some level. And it wouldn't bother us if we didn't believe it,
Which is a hard pill to swallow.
It really is. It's like, oh, you mean I'm the problem for everything in my life? And it's like, yeah, kind of, but it's
Lovingly,
okay.
yes.
Lovingly, yes. There's people that can help you with that stuff. But it all, there's an ownership and accountability that has to come into play at some point. If we just stand and pointing fingers at people saying, well, I can never do that and I can't be this good and this person drives me crazy, it's unpacking what your belief system is and why you're not doing what those other people are doing and why you can't get your clear message out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that really speaks to working with other people, maybe energy healers, or working with people that can help you navigate and move through that, because you may be skilled in a particular area, but we all have our blind spots.
Yes.
And so I think that going outside of yourself to get the support that you need is really, really important.
Absolutely. And we were talking about this, I was talking about this with someone last week. There's an interesting thing that happens with healers. Not all of them, but some of them, especially those who are like afraid to charge decent prices and things. A lot of the times they won't hire another healer to help them through something. Mm-hmm. And any person who's an energy worker knows that we're attached to our own outcome. We can't heal ourselves as quickly as somebody else can. So I regularly hire other people to either to look at those blind spots and tell me where things are messed up, or to shift the energy for me. Like, yes, I know that I could do it, but it's going to take, an infinitely longer time to get it done. So if you're truly on the path of progression, you need to ask for help. And you can't do it all yourself. Mm-hmm. I think that's a huge misconception, especially in the healing world. And it even comes down to energetic boundaries too. So this is another sabotage piece. Yes, we're love and light and we're divine beings and we can transmute energy. But you know what? That doesn't mean we should walk around all day, every day, transmuting energy. We should protect ourselves. Mm-hmm. We should only work when people are paying us. We shouldn't be wide open and tuning into things all the time.
Right.
Because that's a recipe for disaster. Mm-hmm. That's why there's so many burnt out energy healers, or, the shaman sickness that you see all the time, because our bodies can't handle that. And there has to be an exchange. There has to be an accountability for it. And if you're not respecting yourself enough to charge or receive money for your services, you're going to pay for it in the end.
Right. Yeah. And if you take away everything else, you're really actually charging people for your time. Like whether you're an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, an energy healer, a shaman, a circus juggler. I mean, everything aside, it's your time. And so it's interesting you talk about this piece about being afraid to charge, what you're worth or a certain level, because it's like, well, how much value do we put on our time? Time is the one thing we cannot get more of, at least in the 3D world.
Right.
And so if you think about that, if we all have the exact amount of time, relatively speaking, depending on when we die, but
right.
We have so many days, we have so many hours, we have so many minutes and so many seconds. Mm-hmm. So it's like, think about how valuable that is.
Well, that, and I think a lot of people get stuck on this timing issue because it's like, oh, well, I can't charge that because other people are charging this per hour. So I would add to that, it's time and expertise. So, a person who's done a weekend Reiki class, which there's nothing wrong with that, I'm just making an example,
Right.
versus someone who has, dedicated years of their life and they're, always going to new classes and learning new things, they're on a much different level. So, their time is exponentially more valuable. So expertise is a big thing too. And yeah, people should hire you for your expertise. You're the expert. There's nothing wrong with that. If you've spent years of your life studying a craft, people will appreciate it. They always do. There's always someone looking for what you have. Otherwise, it's that whole universal law. You can't, if you weren't good at something, or you can't be good at something without people who are willing to pay you for it. There are no extra humans. I heard somebody say the other day, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own specific purpose. You're not going to get some useless talent that nobody's interested in. So yeah, time and expertise is a big deal.
So let's switch gears and talk about another area that we often sabotage ourselves, and that is relationships, because relationships really can bring up our stuff. So let's talk about that.
Yes, I've heard on several occasions, if you want to grow as a human, get into a relationship with another human.
Yeah.
And that you've found the right person when they trigger you all the time, because that's what they're there for. They're there to unpack all your stuff and to make you into a better version of you.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, that's our true soulmate. Everybody likes, this idea of the soulmate, but in reality, those are the people that are your soulmate because they know how to push your buttons and help you heal and grow.
Yes, like nobody's business. And, I think a lot of times we sabotage ourselves in our relationships because of our attachment to the outcome. And I feel like women are, I think they're a little bit more guilty of, going on a couple of dates with a guy and they're looking 6 months down the road.
Yeah.
And
the wedding. It's like
the wedding,
we
oh
fast
my God,
forward.
he's so perfect. And it's enjoy people for who they are. Don't place expectations on them. Don't place attachments on things. If you want to do something nice for people, and this resonates out with friends and family, not just romantic relationships. But if you want to do something nice for somebody, do it without any attachment to how they're going to receive that niceness, because otherwise you're just fueling your ego. Mm-hmm. If you want to do something nice, you just do it from the kindness of your heart, not because you want somebody to get, oh, wow, they didn't even react.
Yeah.
Maybe your idea of showing love it just doesn't do it for them. So we place all these weird attachments on things.
Yeah, it's like you wish someone happy birthday on Facebook, and then when your birthday comes around, they don't say anything.
Oh my goodness, I know. There's this oh, I didn't do So, and it happens with my family all the time, and I just, I try to watch it from the outside. There's so much expectation and so much attachment on how we're supposed to behave and what we're supposed to do, and it's not helpful. Mm-hmm. I think the best way for us to avoid any sabotage in our relationships is to just, it's acceptance. Everything comes down to acceptance. Accept the person for who they are, and don't put any meaning on that. Mm-hmm. Just love them for who they are. And, unconditional love I don't think humans are very capable of it. But we can try. We can try to detach a little bit and not fantasize about the wedding 20 minutes into a first date, or, put expectations on the way that our children are supposed to react or our parents are supposed to react when we do something. Mm-hmm. It's, just coming back to that place of acceptance.
Well, and I think, again, the underlying theme is how much self-worth you have, whether it's business, charging for what your services are, or in relationships. I was talking with some ladies that are in my mom's generation, and they're single, and one of them was talking about dating and how she was considering settling. And I think so many times because we're getting attention that feels good, it's like our ideas of what we want kind of fall to the wayside, and it's like we're not really solid in our value and our self-worth.
Right.
So that was an interesting conversation to be a part of, because I think it doesn't matter what age you are. I remember doing it in my early 20s. I was like, oh, that's okay. It's the bad boy. Oh, don't worry about that. He's a great
He's
catch.
really nice when we're alone. I promise. Yeah. It's so, well, because what we're doing in relationships is we're always looking for something that we're either not giving to ourselves or, expecting other people to meet, to fill that void. And it's, we have to look at ourselves first in order to say, okay, what do I need? What are my total deal breakers? Why would you settle to be with somebody who doesn't completely adore you and do everything they can to learn about you as a human and what makes you, joyful and what doesn't make you joyful? Because resentment is always at the end of that. Mm-hmm. When we put expectations on people, suddenly we resent them. I remember being out I was having drinks with this girl. This was years ago. And she was complaining about her boyfriend. And she's like, this was a typical girl with a great job, gorgeous, dating this idiot. And she's like, I bought him this wallet because he was being really nice, and now he's being a jerk, and I wish I didn't buy him the wallet. No. And I'm like, but if he wasn't being a jerk, you'd be okay with the wallet, right? She's like, well, yeah, but how does he think he can act like this after I bought him that? And it's like, oh, honey, like, you can't place conditions on things. Right. You can't expect, put conditions on things. I'm going to buy you this. Therefore, you have to call me when you say you're going to call, or show up on time, or whatever it is. It's just, recipe for disaster.
Well, and the funny thing in that situation, we don't have any idea what was going on in his world. I mean, that could have been a form of self-sabotage right there. Like, he could have gotten this gift, and maybe it made him feel uncomfortable because of however he was translating it. Oh, she wants more commitment, or, I need to do something back, or maybe you could feel her energy around that. Who knows, right?
Right.
And so then he's like, he starts acting like a jerk, according to her.
Right.
Because maybe he's distancing himself. And so it's interesting how we interpret other people's behaviors. And a lot of times we can do two things. We can blame the other person and say, they're wrong. Right. Or we take it on ourselves, take on their energy, and take on responsibility where it's not ours.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually ties in really well into the 9-star key. So the 9-star key, just a really quick overview. It's based on the 5 elements of water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. It's the foundation of Chinese medicine and feng shui. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And the way that it works is, whatever your birth date falls on, month, day, and year, the stars, the 9 stars of Polaris and Vega and the Big Dipper, are aligned in a certain way, and you have an elemental nature. There is 9 different elemental natures, and some of them are similar. Some of them are the feminine and masculine versions, and some of them just couldn't possibly be further from each other on the spectrum of things. And what happens with this, in the 5 elements, there's a generating cycle where you always see them in a circle. So you need water to feed wood. You need to water plants. You need wood to burn a fire. Fire returns to the earth, and earth generates metal or minerals. So there's this natural quality with people that, if you have people in your life that feed your energy and you always feel good around them, it's likely that they're one of those generating cycles. Now, on the flip side of that, there is the controlling element. So water puts out fire, and fire melts metal, and metal cuts wood, and the cycle goes on and on. So there are just some relationships where people are going to feel just innately uncomfortable, and the way that their motivations are totally different. The way that they do things are totally different. There's just a disconnect that you can't put your finger on. So I have used this system. Anybody that's spent any time around me, I'm always asking for their birthdays because I want to check things out. And I have used it to understand why my parents do certain things, why my brother thinks a certain way. It's one of those things, it's just the wiring is totally different. They're running on a different operating system.
Right.
Priorities have changed. And so in the case of like the wallet thing, she's trying to give him a gift, and it's triggering something in him because it's not part of his nature to be able to receive that gift. So it's been really fun for me to learn that aspect of it. Because I have not met one person that it doesn't work for. It's really quite interesting. And even just learning a little bit about the different elements can give you such a leg up on the relationships, because it's like, oh, that's why they're doing this. Like earth people are food pushers. And yes. So like grandma telling you, like, why aren't you eating? Like, she's probably an earth person or Italian,
Yeah.
I'm Italian. I could say that.
Me too.
I thought so. Okay. And then like metal people, everything is about image and aesthetic, and they're the type of people that will reload a dishwasher. Even though everything in there is fine, they want it done their way, and their way is the right way, and there's no way around that. So there's all these little intricacies that you can go, oh, okay, that's why they do it. And you can't fight them on it. It's literally who they are. So you are an 813. And what that means is you are Yang Earth, which it's considered the mountain. It's the masculine version of earth energy. They're very much human rights and civil rights and things being fair. They're usually really active in the LGBTQ community. Anything that has to do with civil rights and fairness is kind of on point for them. They have a determination and drive that you can't match. And something interesting about them is they tend to do things the hard way.
Oh yeah.
It's just how they are, but they're the only element that is capable of doing what they take on. Like they have incredible tenacity. And in the center, you have water. So water, that'll usually show up in the stress position. So when you're stressed out, this is how your water shows up. So if people ask you, how are you doing? And you're not okay, you'll say, fine, and like walk away. There's a lot going on under the surface with water people, and you have to like pull information out of them if they're stressed out.
My mom's like, it's like pulling teeth.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's so right. Yeah.
And then the 3 on the end is Yang Wood, which is the masculine version of wood. And it's a hyper entrepreneurial energy. People that have 3 in their 9-star key have a lot of energy to burn, usually up. Really early in their go all the time. Like, it's no surprise to me that you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, since my early 20s. I know that I've never been a 9-to-5er. I've always known. I was like, how can I start my own business? What can I do from the get-go?
And with that in the last position, there's also there's a rigidness that comes with it, and kind of an aggressive quality to it as well. There's not a lot of compassion with the Yang Wood energy. It's like go, get things done, adrenaline driven and all of that. But see, this is where, so the 9-star key is awesome, but face reading plays a big part in it as well.
Oh, check you out. I
So
didn't know you had all these like cool things you do.
I do so many fun things. So with face reading, having really sparkly eyes and you've got red hair, you have curls, that's fire.
Yes.
Fire people are they like to be center of attention and they're performers and they have an incredible quality of, seeing people for who they are. So it makes sense that you're doing all of these interviews and being very much in the public eye with all the fiery features. And then also, like you have a lot of water because forehead and chin is water. But you also have really pronounced cheekbones and a prominent nose, which is metal. And metal feels energy kinesthetically.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you were laughing at the dishwasher comment because that's something that you do.
No, but I was thinking of someone else that I know.
Yeah. I mean, it all shows up in different ways.
Yeah.
But
I'm
no,
definitely a kinesthetic person. Like I'll walk through a store and I'll want to touch everything. Like I surround myself, like I'm very sensitive to my surroundings. Like where I live, it needs to have nice and clean and surrounded by beauty. I mean, behind me I have all my crystals and just like things that I love. And so, yeah.
Yes.
It's like
no, that's very metal.
Yeah, I feel space.
Yes. Yeah. Very true to your nature. One of the words that describes metal is beauty. And I love that you use that word.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really fun to see how it all plays out. And I can give you an extra tip if you'd like.
Sure.
So in addition to having our personal elemental nature, we're always living the year through a lens of another element. So that's why some years feel like super slow and some years feel super fast. And right now you're in what's called a yin earth year. And it's divine feminine energy. And it's about planting the seed and preparing the soil for growth. So it might feel, especially after last year was a really slow year as well. But this year it's slow, but there's a lot of opportunity for helpers. In the yin earth year, people will be coming out of the woodwork trying to help you with whatever you need.
Oh,
There's
hallelujah.
an energy. Yes. I mean, this happened when I was on my road trip. I had this energy running and like angels would show up everywhere. Anywhere I was, I had people to help me. It was fantastic. So this year for you, really important is systems and planning and preparing for growth, because next year you're going to be moving into that yang wood energy, which is all about launching and entrepreneurship and go, go, go. And in order to be able to keep up with that energy, you need to have the systems and things. So the organization is there for you to just go and take care of business, literally.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because to me, my experience is that this feels like a very purposeful year. Yes, I see the planting seeds, but to me, it feels like, I definitely could feel the momentum really ramping up. I couldn't imagine if it was going any faster.
Oh, just wait. Next year is, it's awesome. It's an awesome energy.
Good.
And it's funny because for years, I've been wondering, like 2007 was a crazy busy year for me. And I was working like 60 to 80 hours a week, and it was insane. And this entire time, I'm like, how did I do that? How did I get that done? And it's because I'm in the same elemental year that I am right now. And being in it and now having this knowledge of the 9-star key, I'm like, oh, that's why. Yeah. Because you can't control it. You just go. So
I'm curious then, how does this play out? Because there's so many different systems out there. There's, your sun sign, your moon sign. And so I'm in Aries with a Cancer rising and Taurus. What's the other one? Moon?
I love this. Okay. So you just said Aries.
Aries. Right? Yeah. Is the sun sign. So that's fire. I have Cancer.
Right.
Cancer rising
is water,
which is water, and then Taurus moon, right? Is that the third primary one?
Yes.
Moon. And so that's earth. And so I'm curious how that plays out with, the face reading, because you said fire, metal, and water. and then with the star key.
Yes.
How do those all play together?
I have found, I have found a lot with people, their sun, moon, and rising sign very often almost directly correlate to the three numbers in the 9-star key. With the elements, even on like a universal scale, they usually correspond to how things work. And when I get a reading from like Christina Caudill, for example, I'll get a reading from her and she'll tell me when things are going to shift or when things are going to be wonky. And it directly correlates with a monthly elemental influence.
Neat.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, this stuff actually works. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we are not following our natural cycle of say the system, the 9-star key, what happens?
Oh, so many things. We can burn ourselves out if we're not, and if we're not honoring our nature. Like there's rest and relaxation doesn't get a whole lot of love in the US. You know, people that Netflix binge and, you know, relax on the weekends after working really hard, people usually look down on that, which is bizarre.
I thought that was what most people do.
I think it is. I think it is. But people they think badly of it, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all about go, go, go and fire and joy. And, you know, there's this belief that we have to always be doing something in order to be happy. And if we don't take the time to honor what those natures are, it can happen in a couple of different ways. So people can burn themselves out and actually become so out of balance with their elements that they get sick, which is interesting in and of itself because the elements rule certain body parts. So you'll see these correlations with like, oh, wow, your wood's really acting up, or your water's a mess, or your metal is, you know, because skin issues is a metal thing. And issues with connective tissue is a wood thing. And there's all of these different correlations. But with fire people, something interesting happens. You see this a lot with guys that come back from war or people that have just had really tough lives or traumatic experiences. Their eyes kind of look dead. Like if a fire people, part of their charm is like their eyes are just sparkly and they light up a room.
Yes.
So if you see people that have that kind of like dead gaze, that's usually their fire is out. I mean, everybody has fire, but that's like a cardinal thing with fire people. Metal is lungs and large intestine, but also the skin. So asthma, any type of digestive issues like a IBS or chronic constipation. Metal is about letting go. So if we don't know how to let go, like exhaling or eliminating, it shows up. And it also shows up in our skin. And I know I have another element, and I can't remember which one it is.
Is it air?
Oh, it's earth.
Earth.
It's earth.
Okay.
I'm like going through the list. Earth people can have like stomach issues, spleen issues. Earth people, if they're too earthy, they just become extremely overweight. Because earth and food have this really... Yeah. But earth people are supposed to be a little round. Like earth people aren't supposed to be these skinny little things. They're earth. They're all about food and being grounded. So like, you know, Buddha was probably an earth person, right?
Yeah.
But there's a healthy side to that, not the extreme version.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's always that range. So you talked about, you mentioned that you might be clearing while we're talking. So is it okay that we go through a clearing right now?
Let's do money with regards to self-sabotage, because money is such a huge thing,
right,
that I want to make sure people can kind of feel this.
Yeah, definitely.
So any self-sabotage related to money,
yeah,
I will
great.
clear around. Awesome.
Perfect.
So the way that I do this is I just kind of drop in and clear. There's not really anything anybody needs to do, but I'll just, for the sake of this, to get everybody in the zone, close your eyes as long as you're not listening to this and driving.
And we've set the intention that this will be for anyone that watches at any time. Today, yes, tomorrow, in the future.
Yes, energy clearing is a beautiful thing. It does not abide by the rules of space and time. So when you listen to this, if you choose to listen to it again, you will always get cleared. You'll always get exactly what you need and what is ready to let go. I guess I'll talk about energy clearing just for a minute so
Sure.
people know what they're getting themselves into.
That's right. Yes, we want to make sure people can opt in or opt out.
Right, right. So energy clearing is this incredible modality that I learned a few years back. And what it does, you can consider it like a pressure wash for your energetic system. So the way that I envision it is, we have our body and we have our, like, almost like our core issues. And, the stuff that we're really attached to, we hold really close to the body. But as we work through things, we kind of push that stuff out into our aura. Mm-hmm. And this is the way that I envision it and see it happening. So that as you push things out ready to be released, when I or anybody else goes into clear, they're taking like that outer layer. So it's kind of like peeling an onion, and I can't release anything that you're not ready to let go of. So what happens a lot is, people will come into something and they'll ask to be cleared around a specific issue. But if you're still attached to it and you're still working through it, I can't just rip it out. Like, you have to be done with it and push it out into your own energy field so that it can be released. Because if we're attached to anything, it's not going anywhere. But even people that I've worked with, if they're skeptical or they don't believe what's going on, it still works for them too. So if this sounds kind of far-fetched to you, or like, oh, this is on a recording, and
how could that possibly work?
It does. And it's so funny. I put together a clearing meditation recording that everybody's going to receive from this. And I did it last year, and people use it over and over and over again. And they'll use it, like, I know a couple of people use it every week, and they're like, I can't get over how powerful this is. I love this. And I kind of feel bad because they listen to me say the same thing every week, but it works. I don't know why it works, but I know that it does.
Yeah.
And just trust it and go with it.
And I would just want to highlight that point, just so people take this in, because you made this over a year ago.
Yes.
And because this is something that comes to you naturally, or it's a gift that you have. If you were sabotaging yourself, or you were in this mindset, you could have devalued that, right? Mm-hmm. But you said people listen to this weekly, and they are getting a tremendous amount of value from it. And so I just felt the desire to highlight that and have people sit with that and think, you are putting your energy into something, regardless of what that is, and there is extreme value in that. Doesn't matter if it was done yesterday, doesn't matter if it was done 10 years ago, there is that energy there. So that was just all I wanted to say.
Thank you. I love that. And it's a great point. If I didn't listen to that nudge, I mean, I literally made that meditation on a total whim, and I was living in Florida at the time, and there was a gorgeous rainstorm. So I had like the most beautiful background noise, and it came out incredible. And it was totally like one-shot deal, spur of the moment inspiration. And it's one of the best things I've done, which is really cool.
I can't wait to listen.
I'm so glad.
And Premium Academy members will get that. So you guys just definitely check it out. So, okay, awesome. let's do this clearing stuff.
Okay. So go ahead and just close your eyes and center yourself. Take a couple of nice, really deep breaths and call all of your energy back to you. Call it back from any distractions, any people. And as I tap in, I want you to think about how, maybe drill down one specific way that you're self-sabotaging yourself with money. Whether it is not paying your bills on time, not putting together a budget, if it's blissful ignorance about your money situation. And know that this is just a story that you're telling yourself. And don't feel guilty or beat yourself up about this. I'm feeling a lot of emotion right now. I am clearing as I'm talking. Um, it's okay. Everything you've done to the best of your ability. You know, when you know better, you do better. And if you didn't realize that something you were doing is self-sabotage until now, that's okay. Forgive it and let it go and change the pattern. I'm feeling guided to walk us through another procedure. So I want you to imagine in front of you a movie screen. And while you're looking at this movie screen, I want you to embody that feeling of self-sabotage around money, whatever it is specifically. Know, feel, and embody how that feels, why you're doing it, the emotions behind it. I want you to take all of that in so that you can fully experience it and don't hold yourself back. And take a big inhale. And then on the exhale, start to separate yourself from that energy and put it on the screen in front of you. This is not you. This is a story. This is a money story. We all have them. Look at the story and see it from the outside with fresh eyes. And know that now that this is up on the screen, it is no longer a part of you. And thank that story for any lessons that you may have learned, any experiences. Don't forget to breathe. And when you feel you're done, you can open your eyes and come back into the room. That was big.
Awesome.
I highly recommend drinking some water, if not a sip, an entire glass. Felt a lot of energy move through that. I'd love to hear your experience, by the way. I know, sorry. Thank you for following the instructions.
Yeah. It was interesting. So I felt a lot of energy in my heart chakra. Like I felt, it was like this, it kept building up and building up, and it was just like right here. And then when I did the screen, so mine was around not really looking at my financial stuff. Kind of
Okay.
like, let's put it over there.
Yeah.
And so what I saw on the screen was like very low energy. Like it was like a girl sitting on maybe the sidewalk with her knees up and her head down, kind of like that.
Right.
Yeah, like
Right.
that hopeless feeling. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting especially if you're a visual person doing this stuff, when you put them up on the screen. I'm sorry, I burp when I clear, so I apologize. I used to yawn, now I burp. It's really frustrating.
Well, let's just hope you don't start farting.
Yes, I will make that intention. That would be horrible. No, when my teacher walked me through this, she's in a different capacity, but it was really interesting to see, especially different layers. They all look different and they have their own energy and their own personality. And there's just stories that we're carrying around that really aren't doing us any good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you can only really do like one of those at a time, especially on a group call like this. But like there's an infinite amounts of those stories, all ready to be offloaded
Right.
when you're ready. Yeah.
Right. Well, and you have two gifts actually. So say what they are again.
Of course. So I have my energy clearing meditation, which I think is about 17 minutes long. I call it a meditation, but truth is you can listen to it while you're like folding laundry or doing whatever. You can have it on in the background. I don't recommend listening to it while driving because it is energy work, so funky things can happen. But you don't have to sit and meditate and listen to it. You can put it on and do your thing, and you'll get cleared every time you listen to it, which is, I love it. I just used it last night. So yeah. I listened to it too. And then I have my video training that I literally just finished yesterday.
Yay.
And
it's fresh, it's hot off the press.
Hot off the press. Yes. It's so great. I have poured everything that I could into a 1 hour and 22-minute training, about the elements, how they manifest as personalities, why we get along with some personalities and not others. And then I've dove into the elemental years. So, people can, as long as they know their birthday, they can figure out what their primary elemental nature is and then see what the energy of the year is. And I made it with the intention that people who, either in their personal lives or business lives, if they know the energy that they're supposed to be harnessing, things are so much easier. Yeah. Instead of following somebody else's model or what worked last year, because last year and this year might be starkly different. Mm-hmm. So there's tips and tricks of how to make your life easeful instead of banging your head against the wall.
Yeah. We don't need to bang our head against the wall any longer.
No, we really don't.
Stop the struggle. Stop the struggle.
It can totally be easy. And I love this system. If I had known what I know now, things could have been so different for me, especially the past 6 years. I started learning it a few years ago, but incredible insights and wisdom and how to just roll with what's coming at you instead of, being ego driven and trying to do what you want to do. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This was a really cool conversation, and I think we covered so much. There's so much here that I think I'm gonna have to go back and listen myself because we all have our areas of self-sabotage, and so I still have some. So yeah, I definitely am gonna go back and listen. So
me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So thank you so much for joining me today. And, you guys that are watching and listening, if this resonates for you, definitely reach out to Jacquelynne and at, what is it, JacquelynneMaloney.com.
It is.
Yeah. So, there will be a link on the show page. So you guys definitely can connect with her. And, hopefully she'll be joining us in the community, and then maybe we can have a dialogue there as well. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so great.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.